How many years into that after the glioblastoma?
I'll be hitting 11 years in July, so I'm 1% of the world's population. I don't think I can get any more than 1%. I always say the quicker you can flip that switch to positivity is key. You have to cut all negative stuff around you. You've got to be full on. So that's one thing, is positivity.
I think that mentality that it sounds like you've probably always had has been the kind of heart and soul of why you're still here today.
Yeah, I think so.
And why you've kind of got to the level that you have with the level of expertise in the areas of health and everything else that's come along with that.
So I've got one of the 3 most aggressive and biggest killer cancers in the world. It was my wife. I'd say she saved my life. And the stats of mine are only 25% of people get to a year.
Wow.
Only 17% get to 2 years. We're talking the world's population here. 5% get to 5 years. Where I've crossed now is 10 years, is 1% of the world's population.
Wow.
And now I'm moving into 11 years.
Welcome to another episode of the Alpha 21 podcast. Today we are joined by a very special guest, Dave Bolton. Dave, welcome to the podcast.
Nice to meet you, Dom. Thanks for having me.
Dave has got probably, not really arguably, I'd say like almost definitely one of the most inspiring and interesting stories that I've come across. And that's precisely why I wanted to do this podcast. And in person, you know, is going to be super powerful. So I know you're in for a treat today. Dave, if you can just give us an idea into who you are, what you do, and just your overall story.
Yeah, my name's Dave Bolton, and I'm a former serviceman, military, served in Iraq, high-flying detective. I've beaten cancer 3 times. Survived a near-fatal motorbike accident. I'm an international speaker, strength and conditioning coach, biohacker, and everything else in between.
So you've done a fair few things. I think that'd be fair to say.
I've lived many lives.
You've lived many lives, that's for sure. I want to get an understanding as to, you mentioned you're an ex-serviceman. Give me a little bit of a kind of an overall view of your life, because we're going to talk a lot about the diagnosis you received 11 years ago, am I right? 12 years ago. I want to talk a lot about that because I think that's super important. But prior to that, tell me, give everyone a little bit of an understanding about your life prior to that. Yeah,
so I was actually born in RF Wegberg in West Germany in 1981. It was my birthday yesterday, so people can work out that I'm 25 years old. Yes, because my dad was in the RAF, my mum was in the RAF, and I grew up in Germany up until 1990. Mm-hmm. Loved my time in that. It was amazing. Loved everything about it. And then we came back, and my dad was from the Wirral, which is just across the estuary, from I was that annoying kid in school that was good at all sports, like amazing. I always remember my mum, when she was here, she kind of said to me, the teachers brought us in and he said, your son's got a gift. If we could bottle it, we would make a fortune, but you're really going to have to be careful. He's either going to go one of 2 ways with it. So my mum pushed me into that sport, and that's where I thrived.
What sport was that?
I was a sprinter. Around 100, 200, third leg of the 4x100 meter relay. I did hurdles, I did discus, I did javelin, I just did everything. Mm-hmm. For me, when I was in Germany, I was the first kid in basically infant school to be racing those in high school and winning. I was the first one to lift a trophy. I came back home around for Wirral. I was given awards for the person who's most likely going to succeed. I just didn't get beat around Don Valley Stadium. Whilst I was doing this, I was playing county hockey, I was playing county rugby, like sport, like volleyball as well. Everything about me was sport, physical training. Yeah,
so you've always looked after yourself. You've always been physically fit and pushed that side of you. And then talk to me about this kind of big, turning point or wake-up call. I know there were times previous, which I want to dig into, but you mentioned about 12 years ago you had the diagnosis. Tell us about that.
So 12 years ago I was a detective sergeant in charge of covert unit in Liverpool. So I was in charge of all covert operations, intelligence. I was a single point of contact for neighbouring forces, so your likes of GMP, Greater Manchester, Headley, Wales, Cheshire, South Yorks. So if any of our nominals, I'm being polite because I wouldn't usually use that term, are active in their area, I'd get the call. It was a high pressure, high stress situation. It was a brand new unit and I spearheaded it, and I thrived on it, because pressure and stress, I always say, cracks water pipes.
Yeah.
But that same pressure and that stress, if you view it right, forms diamonds. So why wouldn't you want to be a diamond? But I was in a role as you know, as we'll probably talk backwards and forwards as we go on. I do everything 100%. I'm relentless in what I do. I never cut corners. I think if you're going to do something, you do it 100%.
Yeah.
So I managed to get off everything, and I was on days. So I'd be on a Monday, a Friday, 8 till 4. Not me. I'd wake up. I had my daughter was 5, my son was 8. I'd kiss them good at 5 in the morning. I'd go into work, and what I'd do is I'd get my head on all the intel in the area, because I was in charge of it. And I wanted to know who's doing what where, the overnight reports. I wanted to know everything. Then my team would come in. We're in a covert unit, lock the door. I brief them, and then the day would go. I would never get off until 10, 11.
And I think that mentality that you sounds like you've probably always had has been the kind of heart and soul of why you're still here today.
Yeah, I think so.
And why you've kind of got to the level that you have with the level of expertise in the areas of health and everything else that's come along with that. So then, what was the year of the diagnosis?
So it was 2014.
2014.
May the 1st. Never May the 2nd because it was my daughter's birthday.
Yeah, just in time.
Yeah. So it's do you want me to do it? So it's May the 1st, and like I go in as I always do, and I'm in early, and my team come in, and I kind of say to them, listen, I'm never off on time ever. I'll say, tomorrow it's my daughter's birthday. I am getting off on time regardless. If anything comes in today, because I want to be able to get off earliest tonight, you've got to take it off me, or at least give us a hand. So they're like, yeah, no worries, Sarge. Cracked on, and true to form, about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a firearms discharge in Manchester. So basically, nominals from our area had gone to do a burglary, used firearms. No one was hurt, but it's a critical incident. So I get contacted. They're following them, they lose them, but we know they haven't come back into the area due to cameras and various things. So I'm trying to get authorization for a hard stop. So that means I'm trying to speak to the assistant chief constable or the chief constable so I can get authorization for our firearms unit to be able to pull over the vehicle in question and use lethal force. It's not like in America where you can just shoot and hope. Yeah. You know, there's got to be process, even though we'd lost them. So it's about 8 o'clock at night, and Joe, one of the staff, comes and goes, Sarge, get yourself off. But with Joe's one of those that if you told her to do something, she does it. You know, if you were on a team with her, you'd think she's like a suck up. But for me, she was amazing. She would do it. So I said, yeah, leave it to you. So I went home. Remember coming home, it's about 10 o'clock now, get in, and my wife says, you all right? I said, yeah. She was a stressful day. I said, yeah. And just kind of give her an overview. So I had some cereal, and I got into bed, and I must have fell asleep about 10:30. I came round at 11:30, being worked on by paramedics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So tell me about that. What happened?
I'd suffered a 15-minute grand mal seizure, and I'd stopped breathing.
Wow. And prior to that, had you had any kind of, warning signs? That was anything?
We didn't know, but looking back now, yeah, there was, yeah.
There was?
Yeah.
Well, what kind of thing?
So I always remember it first started at a petrol station. Pulled up in a petrol station in Bebington. I get out the car to put it in. And as I take hold of the petrol pump, I get this chemical wave, this sensation throughout my whole body. My head's spinning a little bit. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't speak. And I just stood there. And it lasted about 20, 30 seconds. And I put it down. And I got back into the car and said, Sam, I don't know what's going on. I said, you're going to have to drive. I had no clue, and it cleared. Didn't think any of it. And then every so often when I would do a big briefing, sometimes it wasn't even a big briefing, but I'd do a big briefing. Yeah. Like, say it's for an operation, and it was just full, or the top brass, as we call them, the bosses. That same wave would come through, and I couldn't speak. So what I would do is just wait and then go, sorry, I had something stuck in my throat. So I'd mask it. I just thought, I've never suffered with anxiety. I just thought that's what it was. Apparently those were seizures I was having.
Wow, like mini underlying.
Yeah, because my tumour was that big that when obviously stress produces cortisol's an inflammatory, it was inflaming it. And
I was going to ask, was stress
huge
because of your lifestyle,
huge
which would have
amount.
been heavily stress-based?
Huge amount.
That was probably one of the leading factors.
It could have been, yeah.
As in behind the scenes, I'm not necessarily saying it's the cause.
No, but
But it's no doubt exacerbated the problem, right? Because we know how much stress
is huge,
impacts. So then, tell us about what was the diagnosis when you obviously went in for a diagnosis after they were.
So what happens is I came round and when you come out of it, I didn't really know what was going on. Prior to that, my wife had kind of been saying to me, "There's something not right with you. You're not present. You're not." So I was like, "I'm not having an affair or anything like that." But I'd noticed stuff as well. I thought I need to get my brain. Something's not quite firing. I'm usually quite quick. And apparently, when I came round, I thought Sam had got people to take me out of the house. So I became really aggressive for the paramedics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and started saying, "Get out of my house! You're not taking me," and stuff. So
Because you were probably quite...
Yeah. You hadn't got a clue what was going on. Just suddenly you're coming round, there's a yellow vis, someone's on me, working on me, you're just looking around. Yeah.
Wow.
And I was telling them to get out, trying to kick them out.
Wow, and then
But
after...
they're great. So then they're like, "Okay, Dave, yeah, we're just going to take some details. What's your name?" Dave. Dave what? Dave Bottom. "What do you do for a living?" "I'm in the police." "Where do you work?" "Don't know." "What's your date of birth?" "Don't know." And then I kind of noticed there was something wrong. Then I noticed there was blood all over my pillow. And I bit the back corner of my tongue off from a seizure.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so then I was like, right. And then suddenly I was like, oh, no. And then my shoulder was horrifically dislocated.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's just from the
a
seizure?
Yeah, because when you have a seizure... So I think I'm quite lucky. Because a seizure over 5 minutes starves the brain from oxygen.
Yeah.
To go for 15 minutes and be resuscitated and still be...
Is that what it was, 15-minute seizure?
15-minute seizure.
Wow.
And have no side effects. Because when you have a seizure, it's like running around. It looks violent and horrendous, but every single muscle, every single fibre in your body contracts at such a rate. They say it's like running a marathon when you're
really.
Yeah, it's
your body is absolutely battered by the end.
Yeah, and it looks a lot worse sometimes because you've got all this foam coming out your mouth, and if you just nick something, it's all this blood foam coming out. Yeah.
I guess like we spoke a lot about prior to this chat, we spoke about defiance. That's another subconscious act of defiance from you, like even though you've been through that 15 minutes and most people don't come out the other end.
Yeah. It's also reframing how you look at it. But yeah, so anyway, I ended up getting rushed into resus, and I was there, and you know, I will say this, Sam come in. Obviously I went in, my daughter, I had to get my mother and father-in-law on, so my daughter woke up on her 6th birthday with me in resus. Sam came in and she was kicking off because my mate owned a protein supplement. I was a lot bigger then, stuff. And she found this bag of white powder, and it did look sus. It was just a new pre-workout.
Yeah.
And she messaged him and was like, "What?" And he sent her at like 3 a.m, like all the printouts of everything. So yeah, so I was in there, and they kind of did tests. So they thought I had bacterial or viral meningitis, whichever the word is, because I was littered in spots. Yeah. Completely. That's
That's
the seizure, isn't it? The seizure burst every capillary in my body.
Wow.
So we spent the whole day getting like tested, bloods, everything. Like I went down for a CT, I had to go for another one, and I'm sat there, and I'm in a private room because I'm supposed to be in in incubation, but my family were there. And then I just remember the consultants coming in, and she's just a bit taken back because she thought it was like me and Sam. Because my daughter's birthday, I don't remember this, but apparently they came, we sang happy birthday, she had a SpongeBob SquarePants birthday cake. For some reason I don't remember that at all. So I cleared the room, and she just went, "Yeah, unfortunately we found a large mass in the front hemisphere brain and where the glioma is. We're not a specialist hospital. We've liaised with Walton Neurological, who are amazing. They've confirmed they think it's a brain tumour."
Shit. What were the kind of first thoughts that kind of went through your head? If you, I'm sure you can remember that side of things.
First it was just silence, and then for me it was like, nah, this is a dream. This isn't real. This isn't reality. This doesn't happen to me. And I just sat there and I'm thinking, nah, you're wrong. Straight away, no. And then I just looked to where Sam was, and she's crying, and I looked around and reality started to come in, and then it was like, yeah, this isn't a dream or a nightmare. This is, and then boom, I went. Yeah.
Wow. And obviously in that moment, you know, you're probably overwhelmed with many different emotions. What did the kind of following, I guess, week, 2 weeks look like for you past that?
It was horrendous. Yeah, because basically it was a bank holiday weekend, and they didn't want to keep me in. It was the size of a tennis ball. Wow. It was a white mass, huge, in the front hemisphere of my brain. So I was released on anti-seizure, Keppra, levetiracetam, and medical steroids. And then obviously you take one thing, you've got another thing to counteract the side effects. That, oprimoprazole, I was taking stuff to protect my stomach, and we were sent away for to go to Walton on the Tuesday. I talk a lot like that because my only experience with the brain tumour is I was working the Everton versus Tottenham game. We're talking 15 years ago. I ended up with this guy, Jimmy. Now, I know him from when he was on the World. So he was an Everton fan, I'm Liverpool, like loads of banter. A few months later, he suffered a stroke. He died 3 months later of a brain tumour. That's the only experience I thought. So that's what I thought I was going to have.
Yeah, so your immediate thought is it's over.
Yeah, and they explained because it's white, it's low grade, because obviously when the contrast goes in, it doesn't, it can hot. Yeah, so we went through that. I was like, bit of a relief. So they went through it, said, yeah, so it's going to be surgery, and we were sent away with no plan.
What, they didn't give you anything?
No.
Really? So what exactly did they say?
Basically, we'll get you in, we'll get you booked in for surgery. You're going to have another MRI because the ones that won't have 3 tons. I'll say, and we'll be in contact. So we had the MRI and then nothing. Wow. So I had to kind of live daily like, there's something in my head that's growing that can kill me, and there's nothing, no plan being done. So my wife phoned up every single day. Boom, boom, just constantly ringing. And eventually we got a date, which was 5 weeks later.
Wow, that's mental. So are they giving you any form of information around, how far gone this thing was?
No, they don't know. They don't know.
5 weeks is a long time when you've been given such a severe diagnosis.
What they were saying is that they know it's low grade. So for me, the only saving grace was that, okay, it's low grade.
Yeah.
It's not going to develop into 4 times the size.
No.
Thing. But those 5 weeks were horrific.
Wow, and then in those 5 weeks, because we know you're still here 12 years down the line. You took charge.
Surprise! I didn't die.
You showed that defiance that we spoke about, and you kind of took responsibility, which I want to dive into. But it sounds like initially and understandably, that wasn't the first kind of mindset that you fell into for the first 5 weeks after, because you're kind of thinking already it's all over. So
it's what I would say is like everything was going so well for me, in sport wise, the rugby I was playing at high levels. I was still competing, fighting. I've got this career. I'm in charge. I'm I'm dedicating teams. I'm doing operations. I'm working with it. My life's going. I'm on a career pathway. It's set for me. And then overnight the rug's pulled and I've lost everything.
It's gone, yeah.
I couldn't drive. My wife used to check on me at night times. I'd be lying there in bed and I could see. I said, yeah, I'm still alive, but I get that. She had to witness me have a 15-minute seizure. I've never seen.
No.
I think she's gone through it worse than what I did.
Yeah, having to witness you going through all of that, 100%.
So, yeah.
Wow, and then obviously there was after you had it was an operation or just a scan you went for that at the 5 week mark? Did you
No, I had a full craniopathy and a bulking.
And after that, what was the purpose of that procedure? That was to remove
as much of the tumour as they could.
Okay, and how much did they manage to remove?
I think it was 98%.
Incredible. So that was a very successful operation. And then after that, what kind of happened? I mean,
they basically, because that wasn't my first operation. I've had 2.
On
the brain.
On the brain, really. Tell me about
so what happens is you get brought back in, and we sat there, and I'm now speaking more to Anna Crofton, because if there's not treatment planned, he's not there. Professor Eldridge, that's just who he is. He's that well respected. So we sat there and we're going through it, and she goes, it's an astrocytoma, it's an astromedian stars, it's a diffuse 2, so it's a grade 2. Brilliant. I say, me being me, how long do I have to live? And she goes, 5 years. I said, okay. Why 5 years? How do I die after 5 years? Well, obviously it will start progressing, it'll take over, and that'll be the end of it. Okay, great. Because I always want to know what I'm fighting. There's a big thing in the cancer world where they're all like, oh, we're not fighters, we're not warriors. I was.
Yeah.
And that's why I always want to know everything. What am I doing? Just like you go to a fight, I research everything, who I'm fighting. You take note. It's the same with this. It's a different type of fight. In fact, it's probably the fight of my life.
Yeah,
and
the most important fight.
Yeah. So, got sent away, and then it was on scans. So I was on 3 monthly scans. Scan, yeah, great. But I was always taking stuff in, saying, look, I'm researching this, I'm doing this, and she wouldn't mind me saying it. She said, you do realise, this is now 11 years ago, it's moved on, that physical exercise and nutrition has no part to play in cancer. But if it allows you to feel as though it's got a handle on, please keep doing it. Then 3 scans later, she goes, I think you've got a point. I got moved on to 6 months. She goes, I think you've got a point. So basically, out of Walton Neurological, they started the first trial with a ketogenic diet alongside glioblastomas through treatment. But I didn't have a glioblastoma. I had an astrocytoma.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I walk in on my next scan result. I was brought in an hour early. No notification. I was told, because Anna went on holiday and she said, if there's any changes, you'll be brought in way early. no change whatsoever, and it changed for an hour early, so I didn't think. But when I walked in, there was no one there, and I was like, that's a bit weird. And then when I walked through the doors, there was just Professor Eldridge and Anna Crofton there. And as soon as I saw him, I knew there was something wrong, because he's only there if surgery's planned.
Really?
So my heart kind of sank a little bit.
Yeah.
We sat down, and I said, what is it? And they said, oh, we found this. And they turned the screen around, and it was like a walnut-sized mass, black. Yeah. Deep black in the central, just overline the central midline of my brain.
Yeah.
I just stood up and started screaming at them. I'm not doing chemotherapy. I'm not doing radiotherapy. That's a glioblastoma. Well, we don't know. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing chemo. I'm not doing it. But I think it was more anger. I've been told I got 5 months to live. And
5 months?
Sorry, 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
But there I am 14 months later being told you potentially got one of the world's deadliest. So so Professor Eldridge was dead. He went, listen, Dave, let's forget about. Let's just get it operated. I was in operation 4 days later.
So was it a glioblastoma?
Yeah.
Wow. So was it both?
No. So I had the first one. Primary was an astrocytoma diffuse 2. Yeah, that's just gone. So there's no sign of that whatsoever. We don't even monitor that. The second one was we didn't know what it was at that point. But he just wanted to get it done. You know, the first time I'd gone down for surgery, I was terrified. You know, I like being put to sleep and everything, but I was like, because I was told like there's 75% you're not going to make it. But if you do, aneurysms bleed on the brains, but also where yours is where your higher level of thinking, your personality. So you may come back as someone different. So that night I wrote letters to my family and everything. Up 4 hours later, discharged within 3 days. This time I thought, I'm going to smash this. Went down to surgery. It all went wrong.
Wow, in what way?
Because basically that walnut-sized mass that was there. So obviously they image it, they go to an MDT, multidisciplinary team meeting, they plan everything to the nth degree, and when they went in, it doubled and nearly tripled in size in 2 weeks.
Wow. So what was the cause of that? Is
just how aggressive it was. It was. So I've got one of the 3 most aggressive and biggest killer cancers in the world.
Still?
Yeah. No, it's incurable. I'll never.
Wow. So that was the second diagnosis.
Yeah. It's 14 months later. So I had two major life-saving brain operations within 14 months.
As if the first one wasn't enough for the kick in the teeth.
And what's annoying is I got myself back to full fitness, like in peak condition, and then no signs, no symptoms on this one. Boom.
And I guess that was just another repeat of everything coming crashing down in many ways.
Oh God. Oh, even more so. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, then, because there was obviously a time where you just thought, you know, screw this, I need to take charge yourself. Yeah. So how long after the diagnosis, I guess the 14-month diagnosis of the glioblastoma, did you start to think maybe you can take, or was it before that where you started to take more charge yourself?
I think with the astrocytoma, I'd looked into stuff and I was a bit more, when you getting told you've got 3 months to live, you kind of take stock of a lot.
So is that what they gave you? 3 months on the glioblastoma?
In 2015, August 2015, or the back end of July 2015.
Wow. So then what did that do? What did that do to you?
I'll tell you, so basically I got told so how it got delivered is Anna Crofton, we're really good friends. She's a trustee on my foundation. We're really good mates. Mm-hmm. We're there. I'm 14 days in hospital with this still, you know, getting on top of the pain. She goes, Sam was there, my wife. She goes, do you want to come through with us to the family room? She sat there and she welled up with tears because we're friends. I put my hand on her knee and said, it's a glioblastoma multiforme. I've got 12 hours to live, whatever you say is a bonus, isn't it? And she's like, do you want to know what it is? So I'm like, is it the usual? So what they kind of say with it, it's 3 months without, or it's 12 to 18 months with treatment. But mine's that aggressive. It was, no, yours is 6 to 8 months with treatment.
With treatment.
So I kind of thought, I said, yeah, I'll do it. But I went away with a decision to make. Do I want to spend the next 6 to 8 months going through brutal treatment? And trust me, I wanted to die, and we'll talk about that when I go through it. Or do I want to spend the next 3 months living my best life, making memories of the kid? And I went away with a decision to make, and I slipped into a depression.
After the second one?
Yeah. Went home, and I was literally sat on the couch. I'd accepted I was going to die. I didn't give a shit. And I was watching TV, and I was eating, and I always kind of say when I'm doing speaks, it's like cinematography time lapse. You've got that one thing that's stationary, and everything's going.
Yeah.
That was my life.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was my wife. I'd say she saved my life. And so basically she came up to me and she was saying, we talked about this not so long ago because we're doing it for the book. And she goes, I just wanted to get some kickstart. I know you. I knew if you could get a spark of hope back or a spot of that fight.
You'd be on it.
You'd be on it. We're going for a run. And I just laughed in her face. No. Why? Will it make you feel better? Why do I want to feel better? Well, you know, sport's been your whole life. Yeah, it's not anymore. I'm going to die. Leave me alone. But as we know, women are always right. So we go on this run. Now, I'm only 5 weeks from out of surgery, but it was horrific. Like, I was retching. I thought I was going to have a heart attack. I sat down about 5 times. I was absolutely stitched, the full works. And Sam beat me, so I knew there was something seriously wrong there. But as we say, you know, physical exercise, it's not just good on the physical, but it's also good mentally.
Mentally, yeah.
That night, I felt a little better, and I slept just that tiny bit better. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm downstairs on the couch, and I'm just sat there crying my eyes out. Just absolutely bawling out. And I had this watershed moment. Now, if I hadn't been out on that run that day, I don't think this would have happened. And I just went, what are you doing? You said you're going to come away and live the next 3 months the best life you can. What have you done? You've sat here and had a pity party about like the cards, you know, that life cards have dealt you, because obviously there's another part to the story on this. Right. If 6 to 8 months is the average, you've never been average at anything. So why would you start now?
Yeah.
So then I called it Terry. He was my opponent. I put myself in a fight camp. So what I did is I got my diet right, formed good habits, sleep habits, supplementation, exercise, mindfulness, you know, tackled it 360 and accepted the conventional gold standard treatment.
And were they all of the things you did with regards to nutrition, training, you know, supplementation, were these things that you already knew about, or were these things you had to actually go away and do some deeper research
I knew bits about it, but I didn't know everything. So when I started, this was 11 years ago now, 12 years ago with the ASHA, back then there was nothing. I took myself off all the brain tumour support programs. It was like death, and then like don't look it up. So the stats for mine are only 25% of people get to a year.
Wow.
Only 17% get to 2 years. We're talking the world's population here. 5% get to 5 years. Where I've crossed now is 10 years, is 1% of the world's population.
Wow.
And now I'm moving into 11 years. So it's horrific though when you look at it, and so there's no hope anyway. I took myself off it and I started to do my own blog. Yeah. Just to, you know, my mate Matt said do it, so I started doing it that way, just like catharticism. And you know what, it got read at one point 800,000 times in 48 different countries. But I was just doing the stuff like when I'm alone at night time, it's like a prison. My bed's like a prison. Those thoughts, I'm gonna die, listen, it's not gonna walk my daughter down there, my wife's gonna be a wife, but widow, the full works. And then you wake up and it's that. So I used to get up and go for a run. I wasn't supposed to, wasn't allowed to do any exercise. But
well, they told you shouldn't?
Couldn't do that. Couldn't lift weights because of the tumour. Yeah. I shouldn't be running, putting physical exertion. But
because of the stress?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had to. You know, so I didn't tell anyone, and I'd go for a run. And I'd only do like 5K or 3 mile. But it was also a place for me to release everything out of me. I didn't want, and it sounds stupid now, I didn't want my kids to see, luckily they never saw me with all the ambulances when that happened. I didn't want my kids to see me weak and see me, you know, I'm a strong man, but you know, this is my mindset. And also my wife was dealing with a lot. She's bringing up 2 kids, she's a nurse, she's got to look after me. I didn't want to put that on her, so I'd run and I'd just let it all out. I'd just be sobbing and I'd be crying and I'd be crying. And this is true, and people that, I used to run past dog walkers, like, and they walk past and I'd be in bits going, why me? I often think, what did they think? Did they think, listen, mate, if you don't like running, why are you doing it? With no contact, you see a big bloke going, oh, why me? And that's true. I think
there's plenty of blokes doing that just because they don't like running.
But then I get back and I get a shower, and then one day she goes, why are you having a shower at 6 in the morning? I said, oh, yeah, no, I'm just hot and sweaty. She goes, tidy your running gear up. But she kind of knew.
Oh, so she wasn't even aware that you were going out.
She wasn't, no. Wow. I was sneaking out,
Yeah.
So,
and that was purely just for your own almost mental...
Just to get about my own mental health and to try and just process things on my own. Because that first mile, that I'd be like, listen, and this is what I do. I have to go low and hit rock bottom to suddenly go, sort your shit out. And then I then go into fight mode.
Yeah, I think many people would respond in, you know, many different ways to that. And it sounds like you have hit about as rock bottom as you...
Yeah, no, I did, yeah. And then it was like, right, let's do this. And I just put a full plan in place around me. You know, and I started to look at nutrition. But I help people all over the world. You know, and one of the first things, like what supplements, but you shouldn't even be looking at supplements first.
No, until you've got the foundations in place. That's what I want to look at today, because you
are
are how many years into that after the glioblastoma?
I'm hitting at 11 years in July, so I'm 1% of the world's population. I don't think I can get any more than 1%.
incredible. How have you managed to achieve that? Like if you were to kind of...
I have been told by some people you're lucky, but you make your own luck in this world. Yeah. If I was to sat there, have done nothing whatsoever, I'd be dead now. And I would. That's blatantly. One of the big things is positivity is key. Yeah, it really is. And you do have to go through those emotions like I did. It's like, why me? Why does this happen to me? Why does it not happen to the rapists, the murderers, the scum of society? Why is it to me? Then you've got to kind of go through that realization that actually cancer is 1 in 2. So 1 in 2 will be affected in some form by cancer. And then once you've got that acceptance, a lot of people can't even get through that. You get to that realization and it's like, right. I always say the quicker you can flip that switch to positivity is key. You have to cut all negative stuff around you. You've got to be full on. So that's one thing is positivity. You've got a tree in your garden and the leaves are dying. You get a botanist in, they don't treat the leaves. They treat the root core, the soil. Your body is the soil. It's your environment. So the first thing you should be looking at is what is the one thing that the world's most precious commodity that we cannot live without? It's water. So you've got to look at the quality of water again. Yeah. You can go without eating for 6 weeks. Try going without drinking for 2 days. You're dead. You know what I mean? We are water. And the quality of our water is shocking out of a tap. I've not drank tap water without me knowing for 12 years now.
Yeah, I found it funny because we obviously messaged we were speaking back and forth about different health modalities, and I was saying, is there anything else you would recommend that I use? And one of the first things he said was, are you drinking filtered water? Yeah, it's because it's a big thing, because tap water is
vile,
filled with shit.
So I got a printout of what ours was, and we're, Liverpool, Merseyside, and for the Northwest, it had the highest chlorine and chloride content you could imagine.
Really?
But not just that, heavy metals, bacteria, fluoride. Why are you putting fluoride in? The studies in America that the greater the fluoride content in a state, the dumber the IQ is, the lower the IQ is. Yeah. So it's fluoride, but then you've also got to understand how long those pipes have been under there. There's pipes with lead. I think there's a government scheme
from years back.
But then you've got rust. So I've got, and all I'm saying is it costs a fortune. As long as you're filtering, I've got a Kangen water machine. Kangen means to return to regeneration. What it does is it strips all the heavy metals, all I've just talked about out, keeps the minerals in, because you need the minerals in the water. You do, But what it also does, by the process and the way that obviously it goes through a process, goes through platinum and filters, and basically by osmosis, it causes the chemical to it comes out cloudy white. It turns the water into kind of like antioxidants. Hydrogen and oxygen, and it comes out cloudy white. But you can change it from literally from acid water 2.5. So for me, when you first go, the financial burden that cancer places on a family is horrendous. So I was buying organic everything. With veg, you soak it in 2.5 acid water for 10 minutes, wash it off, it's taken them off.
Really?
So because the average, there's about 12 pesticides on the average piece. So, but then you can also have it 8.5, 9 and 9.5. So the theory being cancer and chronic diseases struggle to survive in an alkaline state. But the taste is just unreal.
Just really
you clean, you can taste it,
Really?
It's in that bottle now.
It's funny really, because obviously when I was younger we used to drink tap water everyone, right? But when you come away from tap water and then you go back to tap water, you can taste every chemical, you can taste everything, you can taste the chlorine in it, right? And I've heard there's even drug residue, particularly estrogenic drug residue, which is not good for cancers itself, right? There's all sorts. If you look at the list of what you can find in tap water, obviously it changes depending on where you are in the world, massively. But the list is there are so many things you can find.
I always laugh because people because back then it cost $3,500. They've got a new one out now, which I've got but that was at my facility. And people are like, oh, you're stupid. And 2 years later, United Utilities, because I research it and I keep my eye on, I've got my finger on the pulse, they put a statement out and it was apologising because for 6 months of the year there was flesh-eating bacteria in
really?
The water. Not enough to kill you.
No, but
it was and I'd post it, went, who's laughing now?
Yeah. I mean, people say that a lot though. It really baffles me because people have this idea that okay, something's bad, but you can tolerate a little bit of it. But then when you think, well, we're exposed to hundreds of different things from all different angles, and there's a thing called allostatic load, which I'm sure you've heard of, right? Which is basically the stresses from all different angles. that we're exposed to in modern life from everywhere. And just because I think people look at single things and think, oh, well, it's not bad enough at that dose.
Yeah.
But when you add that to everything else, it creates like a storm of shit, and then your body is constantly fighting against all
We're surrounded by it in the food we eat, the air we breathe, you know, the water we drink, you know, it's everywhere.
You've obviously tried, which we've spoken about previously, a lot of different health modalities in the past 11 years, beyond the surface level. Well, I wouldn't say surface level because these are really the foundations. Sorry, beyond like what most people think about, which is nutrition training. That is really where most people think health is. But tell me a little bit about all the other different. Well, in fact, let's start with the nutrition, because you spoke about the keto diet.
Yeah.
Which
I actually went on to it because obviously I decided to get an glioblastoma just so I could go on it, obviously.
Just to test it out. Why not?
Just because that's what I do.
Just needed to
see how else I can try and kill myself.
So you followed the keto diet after?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Okay, and why did you follow the keto diet?
I did a lot of research, as I do, and you look back to it was really prevalent in the 70s, 60s. But obviously, America had invested heavily in grains and carbs, so they dismissed it. And what they kind of said was, and they did a global study where they said fat causes heart disease and all that. But what they were looking at countries with high smoking, and that rate. So it wasn't. So everyone kind of moved away from it, but it kind of came back in. And so I researched it. I got two really good books: The Real Food Revolution, and it was written by a scientist, a historian, and a Michelin-star chef. So, and I thought, like, do you know what? I'll give it a go. And obviously, so the ketogenic diet is you stop eating carbohydrates whatsoever.
Yeah.
But that even includes fruit and veg.
Fruit and veg, yeah.
Because what people don't understand is, obviously, your cancer tumour has its own separate fuel sources or its arteries. And the main drivers for them and the fuel is glucose.
Yeah.
There are studies to say acetone from alcohol, but that's only if you're an alcoholic. So everything you take in, carbohydrates like bread, turns into glucose. Most veg turns into glucose. Fruit, fructose, it still counts. So I completely got rid of that. What I had to take was 2,400 calories, 128 grams of fat. Protein was free because it was modified because I had cancer, and I was only allowed 20 grams of net of carbohydrates. So that's not even with the fibre on.
Really? So where would that come from?
It came from a couple of strawberries smashed up in the morning.
Oh yeah, that must have been a dream.
in Greek yogurt for my homemade granola.
That must have been an absolute dream just to get a bit of sweetness in there.
Yeah, honestly, it was like, and I was doing that, and it was going really well, but it was a lot. It was so hard, especially back then. It's not like today where you got keto bars. There was nothing. So I'm a good cook anyway. So it was literally all you think about from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep is food.
Yeah,
you're making it from scratch. It was great, but and then we go out for a restaurant, and then sometimes you'd be sat there and they're not that good. And there's posts where I've gone, "This is my tea tonight," and it's just a pint of water.
Really?
Yeah, it was brutal at times.
There's a lot of data though for the ketogenic diet.
Definitely, because obviously what happens is you're using fat. All the carbohydrates go once you burn out. You're using fat, and then fat. Then in the liver and kidneys turns into ketones. Your body runs on ketones. And like people go, you must have been tired. Oh, I had so much energy, it was unreal.
Really? Yeah. It's once you've made that switch over.
Yeah. It's good.
I don't know a single person who doesn't feel, a hell of a lot better when they do it.
I was only supposed to run it for 3 months. And I did have to laugh because I started weight training. And Kirsty, who was the dietitian, she comes in, she's messaging, she goes, "Oh my God," and she's writing down, "Oh my God." I said, "What's up?" She goes, "I can't believe it." I said, "What?" She said, "You've put like 3 centimeters on your biceps." She goes, "I can't believe the diet's done that." I said, "No, I am training." I said, "I wish it did. No one would ever train again, would they? He's just getting ripped."
Just loads of protein. Yeah. So you were training behind.
No, I was allowed to.
You were allowed to at this point.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We connected because I purchased a oxygen tank off.
Did you ever? From Henshaws?
Henshaws, yeah. And I've used it every day since I've got it, and I've already felt drastically different. And that says a lot because I already look after myself. Yeah. Now, obviously, hyperbaric oxygen therapy is, heavily supported again with data for cancer, but just as overall health. Talk to me about the benefits of that in particular, and then we'll talk about some of the other things.
Yeah. So for me, I obviously elite, world kickboxer. I've travelled the world. I've tried everything, especially since been diagnosed. I will try anything, trial or error. If it doesn't work, I won't talk about it, or I promote it. If it works, I use it. For me, the best thing I have ever come across in my life is the hyperbaric oxygen chamber for restorative, for preventative, and for regenerative health. It is absolutely incredible. It would be easier for me to tell you what it doesn't do than what it does.
Really?
And it is not backed by the medical industry.
I guess that's because you mentioned water being the most important. And I was having this conversation with someone not long ago about water, of course, is, you know, you go for a few days, you're gone without water. But actually oxygen is the most important thing, right? But it's almost taken for granted because, you know, we just breathe it every day without thinking. What exactly is happening with the hyperbaric oxygen therapy to elicit those kind of benefits? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've had people going, well, you can get hyperbaric, you can get oxygen tents. Why don't you sleep in one of them? Because it's the pressure, which is where the magic happens. So
how does that happen?
So basically, we breathe in 21% oxygen.
Yeah.
And we breathe out 17%. And that's why CPR works, because we still have that amount of oxygen in our breath after the gaseous exchange and all that. But also, the greater pressure, the more that can be transferred over.
Yeah.
So our oxygen is delivered around our body in red blood cells. Each red blood cell holds probably 1 million particles. Mm-hmm. So that's in the red blood cell. The liquid that it goes around in is plasma. So when you do your SpO2 levels, which is looking for the oxygen level in your blood, usually for healthy people, 98 to 99. So that means there's 2% or 1% in the plasma.
Yeah.
So when you're at that pressure, because our system is that good, there is actually no more room in the red blood cells for it to be. So it forces that extra oxygen into the plasma. So you've suddenly got 98, 99 enriched blood platelets. You've also got that in the plasma. We were trained by Dr. Zayad, who's the leading hyperbaric specialist in the world, consultant. And we had a guy whose diabetic foot was clean in half. It was due for amputation within 24 to 48 hours. He'd refused and he'd flown in. Without going into the depths of science and all, 28 sessions were given to him over a course period. Start to close over. After 50 sessions, completely healed.
Really?
Lost the use of his toes, but if you can imagine the complications from having your foot amputated, huge. And where that happens, the first part, which we've spoke about with the oxygen, where the blood was going in the veins and the arteries, and it was getting stuck in the plaque and from the diabetes, and obviously the blood isn't getting to the cells or the tissues, it becomes hypoxic, gangrene. The plasma just flows around it and reinvigorates it. I always kind of say, if you've got a hole in a room, you tip it full of water, it will always find where it is. So that's the first part, brilliant. So it's got rid of the hypoxia. It's all there, but that's not going to knit it together. When you're in the chamber, what it does is it puts you in a parasympathetic mode. Now, parasympathetic mode is where you're asleep, rest and rejuvenation.
So how does that happen? Now, that's really interesting. I didn't know that part. How does that happen exactly?
The easiest way to say it was like, if we were going to Spain, we'd have to get euros because we can't spend that money.
Yeah.
So in the cell, the mitochondria, there's a bank currency exchange converter, and that turns all that oxygen and energy into ATP. For those out there, it's energy. You know, we've got 1 trillion cells we have to have there. So what happens is we get this abundance of energy.
Yeah.
So the body goes, well, what do we do with it? And it creates genesis. Osteogenesis, angiogenesis, neuro and vascular. Basically anything with genesis is the new formation. So the new formation of brain cells, brain synapses, bone cells, tissue, fibre.
Yeah. Wow.
Dr. Zaya always said to me, I don't understand why people go and get stem cell harvest. Just plug yourself into hyperbaric every day.
Wow. And why do you feel like this is not supported by the conventional system?
Because I think with me, and I don't want to go into too much. I love the NHS. We're very lucky to have them. They've saved my life 4 times. But the aftercare's poor. It's a business. There's no money in rehabilitation. They get taught in a book like what works, what doesn't. You
don't have to talk to me about the kind of flaws of the conventional system in the UK because we deal with that all the time. Like I always say, look, we don't work any miracles. We just literally work on health at the foundation. But we've had guys come to us with, lists of medications where they're just having more added without any kind of treatment, and we've got them off them within 6 months. Yeah. We could turn this into a hyperbaric oxygen talk, right? But like, is there anything it kind of can't do? I guess the more oxygen you can get around the body.
Yeah, I think the only thing you can't go in, well, there's a contraindication was like, potentially people pregnant, no, they're not going in. But anyone with a untreated pneumothorax, collapsed lung. But anything we have to put a lot of risk assessments in, because if you've got lung issues, so you can have air brakes, you can get venturi, different masks that only put 20% in. Like,
Yeah.
For me, probably the safest place you could do it would be in Britain was us, because not only was I qualified to do it and all my staff were at the top level, I actually paid £150 a month for a top consultant hyperbaric specialist. For everyone's details to go there, and they send me a 15-page risk assessment.
Yeah.
So onto safety.
Yeah, I know people are talking about, they're very much becoming, bigger and bigger in the health optimization and biohacking space for people who just want to kind of live longer, for one. And I guess...
Yeah, what we're seeing is there are loads of little places, they're not qualified, they don't have insurance, they're qualified to put themselves in.
So what would you say to someone? I guess obviously there's a financial side to using hyperbarics frequently. What would you say to someone who kind of wants to get the rewards from doing so? Not necessarily someone who has like a chronic health issue.
Because basically what it is they reckon you should have one a week anyway, because you don't know when you're going to get a chronic condition or an acute injury.
Prevention, right? It's going to help.
Prevention is better than a cure. Yeah. So, it doesn't even have to be once a week. If you get one once a month, great. It's when, we have people coming in for beauty, because it completely detoxifies all your cells, your liver, but it also puts an abundance of fibroblast in the skin, which is collagen. I used to have my facility, obviously I've just closed that down. There's a couple of people in all the time, and I went, right, get one for home. I could have just kept going, give me your money, but I was never about money. We were one of the lowest price ones. I said, I've got a really good relationship with Henshaws, and I'd hook them up, and they'd be at home, because you can do it twice a day, but you've got to have 4 hours apart.
Yeah.
And I also say, but your whole family can use it when it's at home as well.
This is why I got one, because it's an investment. I will always invest more in my health than any other aspect of my life because of the value that comes back from doing so. And I think I've been using that thing for, 10 days maybe?
Yeah.
And you feel a difference almost instantly.
Yeah, definitely. And what we were saying about US Health, because you do obviously get people and they come in and you're like, so how much is it for a 90-minute session? I'd say it's £70, but you're up £70. But they're quite happy to go out on a Saturday night, pump 100%. Themselves full of drugs, drink, blow £200.
Yeah.
Because they don't see that as...
No, I think people get their perceptions very messed up. I've spoken to people who've told me they go out and spend £300-400 a weekend on alcohol and drugs, and then struggle to justify spending £50 on a gym membership. And it's like, people are just completely, missing the point.
You're not only investing in your health, you're investing in your future self as
100%, yeah. Let me ask, I want to know, because we speak a lot about different health modalities that you've experimented with and also researched a lot. And you obviously have your own clinic in which you have a lot of these tools in there. So we've spoken about things like red light therapy, which is becoming more popular.
Unreal.
Unreal. Let's talk about that one then.
8 minutes in the morning and 8 minutes in the evening can actually halt dementia and Alzheimer's for up to 15
Red light
years.
has an impact on that, really.
Yeah, because you have the red light, which you can see, which hits the skin. So it's really good for psoriasis, for wound healing, any skin conditions. But also then it goes on nanometers, doesn't it? The 6.6 old boys. That actually goes into the blood and it targets that. So it's great for inflammation and all sort of that. But also what it also does is every cell produces 2 pieces of energy, ATP. When the red light's on it, it releases nitric oxide, mitochondrial oxide. And that cell then produces 36 ATP. So you've got a trillion cells, 1 times 2, a trillion times 2, a trillion times 36. And they go on to be said, it's an incredible piece of kit. And when you combine them with the hyperbaric, even better.
So they kind of work.
The way to get synergistically,
amazing. Because I think there's a lot of. I want to kind of go back to what you spoke about, where the foundations are always going to come first.
Has to.
Don't jump at all of these.
So what I will say, a lot of this has been in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. So you've added this. What's the foundations?
It's getting myself to a point where I've not slacked off a little bit. I'm not as religious on everything that I do. When I got past 5 years, I kind of thought, okay, I was teetotal, didn't eat any sugar, but then I had to say, like I always say, I have cancer, but cancer doesn't have me. But if I'm not enjoying the odd drink socially, if I'm not having a piece of cake at someone's birthday, if I'm not, then have it.
Yeah. But the foundations are always going to come first.
Massively.
And then I think going back to the kind of modalities we're speaking about with regards to the hyperbaric and then the red light, and then we're going to talk about PEMF. And I'm sure you've got some other tools up your sleeve as well. I think these really do work. I think there's maybe some people out there thinking, is it really worth it? Because they're not cheap, right? They aren't cheap, but the impact that they can have on health is huge. And if you are someone who is, which I believe everyone should be, health oriented, they can have a huge impact. Definitely. Once the foundations are in place.
And I've met him as well. Gary Brecker, I think, said it best. He was like, all this stuff's free. He's like, you can take your shoes off and go and walk around for grounding. You can sit in the sun for 20 minutes. You can do breath work. You can go and swim, in cold water. But people don't live in a place where they can go and take the shoes off. In this country, we don't live in a longitude or latitude to get enough vitamin D3 from the sun. People, oxygen. It's time, so you bring in the sorts of stuff like hyperbaric oxygen, cold water swimming. Oh my God, cold water therapy, I'm obsessed with.
You're big on cold as well.
So I was a snowboarder who hated the cold.
Yeah.
Because through chemotherapy and radiotherapy, I got slight neuropathy. I could never warm myself up. We were in Egypt one time and I was swimming in this pool and it was freezing. I got up. I couldn't warm up. It was like 34 degrees. I had to go and get a hot bath. So when I started my charity in 2020, 2021, my thing was anyone with cancer will not pay for anything when they're on it. But we were running out of money. My wife goes, why don't you do something like crazy? I said, okay, yeah, what? Let's go for it. So she said, why don't you do something like freeze in February? I said, what's that? She goes, so I swam in 2021 with no wetsuit or anything for every single day in the Irish Sea.
Wow.
And if it wasn't the Irish Sea, it was you're talking, and I
swam. But then it would have been cold.
It was. So when I first got in, the very first day I came out, and for 3 to 4 hours, I was shaking uncontrollably. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
After 7 or 8 days straight, I started to fall in love with it.
It's a bit addictive.
And that kind of effect slowed down. It's because when you do cold water, it's like when you train in the gym, you lift weights, stimulus gets placed to your muscles, and it grows. It's the same with cold water.
Yeah.
Your cells slowly become adapted. So I can put myself down to hypothermic levels without any of the onset for it. It's an incredible piece of kit. But not only that, if you've got cancer or anyway, it targets brown fat. So brown fat sits under your clavicles and down your spine. Women have more of it, but it's not fat like visceral that.
No, it's highly metabolic fat.
Exactly, metabolic. Cancer is a metabolic disease. And what it does is it triggers that fat and it burns up that fuel. It also puts you in a thermobolic, so you're burning calories. For your mental health, it's incredible. When you get out, you get an explosion of oxytocin, norepinephrine, endorphins, adrenaline. You go on such a high.
Yeah, and it lasts as well.
And it lasts. I swim with, sometimes when there's middle-aged women that swim in, they go, when I've had a cold water swim, I have no effects from menopause. If I don't, I get that. I know everything about it, everything about, the doctor, Susanna, Dr. Soberg, the principles, if you're doing hot and cold, always finish on cold. Anything under 15 degrees is hypothermic.
Yeah.
You only have to get an 11 minutes in a week to get those changes.
Yeah.
But the reason why I do it for a lot colder and a lot longer is to build up that mental resilience in the brain and in the body.
And with those 11 minutes, this is more of a question for me. I want to know this. Is that does it matter at what times you're doing it? Could you do 2 minutes daily, or would it have to be 5 minute bouts?
You can break it. You can break it up.
You can break it
literally because I've done a course. You can break it up. It's 2 minutes here, and that's what these kind of say. Do go for 2 minutes, come out. But for me,
You're all in.
Yeah. But I enjoy it though. I always have to laugh because there's all this years as a Boxing Day dip, and everyone runs in. And I did the first time you jump in, you go, and everyone runs in now, and then they all run out, and there's 10 or 11 of us just going. Okay, because we're used to it. It's not that bad.
Oh, you do adapt.
Of course you do.
It was really lockdown for me that I got into cold therapy. I remember I went through myself right in the deep end. There was I had my granddad. My granddad passed away, and he had this little tub, and I just said, well, I'll take this tub, and I put it out in the garden, and filled it up with water. And the next day it was frozen like this.
Yeah, pretty nice.
And I first time doing it, I got in. I got out after 20 seconds. I was like, that is horrific, panting for breath. Yeah. And then I went, no, I'm going to go back in, and I lasted about 2 minutes, and I like you said, you get very addicted to the process, and then I think I did an ice tub for about 2 years straight, every single day. Every day I was in the ice tub, and I got heavily addicted to it. Now I do more cold showers, and I still do it every single day. Yeah. But I'm glad you spoke about cold therapy being, really, really beneficial, because I know there's a lot of people these days who are talking about it in a bad light. I don't know if you've seen this. There's a lot of people talking about it. Cardiovascular risks.
And it put the blood pressure raised and it's destroying your body.
I think it's just fear mongering around something that like I know anyone who does it. You know, and of course there are risks if you, let's say you're not.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah.
You do need to be careful. You can't just jump into a freezing cold if you've never done it before. But I think like there are a lot of health benefits to it.
Huge.
And I've never met anyone who does it religiously and does it consistently who says anything apart from it's incredible.
I fell in love with it. I love the feeling it gives you. I love how alert it makes you. You know, it's the thing is, and the big thing is, if people are doing it, is take your time. I'm like, don't try and be that person who's staying in. I said, no. What happens as soon as you go into that water, it triggers your vagus nerve, that fight or flight, and everything in your body will say, get out now. Yeah. Get out. And that's what you happen. 20 seconds. Like
you have to fight that.
And people go, oh, you need to do your Wim Hof breathing. You do that. You know, that's more where you're flooding your system. No, just breathe in through your nose.
Calmly.
Out. After 30 seconds, that should start to kind of die down a little bit. Yeah. And then, because I had people like, even my sister's like, I'm going to be in a minute when we did it. She's in for 5 minutes. You know, it's...
Once you get past that first minute, it's actually really easy. Washing your head definitely helps. If you don't
it's funny because I was doing all these... I was like, they had to have done the full protocol. So I was teaching, how do you start? Cold water shower on, heat first, hand in, out, 30 seconds. And then eventually you get your head under. And Cold water showers are good, but there isn't as enough research about
most of
having
it's about
been
immersion.
Submerged.
It's much better with the immersion. I think it's a reminder for me to get back into, because we've got a cold tub with a temperature thing that brings it down to 3 degrees.
But with my at the moment with my shoulder and I've not been able to do it, so I'm just doing cold showers at the moment. So.
Yes,
and then we're moving into spring and summer, so I've missed that window.
Oh, it really matters. Like I used to love the cold through summer. I said if anyone's getting into cold, start in the summer, and then it's good. It's like progressive overload for cold water. As it gets towards winter, it gets colder and colder. But if you're doing it every day, you're kind of building up tolerance, and then one day the temperature all of a sudden changes in winter, where it's almost unbelievably cold, and you really have to build up your resilience.
Well, I actually got into it going with my wife, and her workmates were going in this place in the morning, so I went one morning. But that was like in the summer, but I just kept going.
Okay, I want to know, obviously you've been on this health journey for, you've been on a health journey for your whole life.
Yeah, really, but seriously, since the second, since I was given 3 months to live.
And you've spoken about the hyperbaric, the red light, the cold, and I'm glad you're supportive of all of those because I'm doing all those myself. Let's talk about PEMF.
Yeah.
What exactly is PEMF? Changer. Tell me about that.
So it's kind of like pulse electric magnetic field. The easiest way to kind of explain it is if people have heard of grounding. You take your shoes off, you stand on the earth thing, and it's supposed to regulate your body to that thing. What PEMF is, it's like that, but on steroids type thing. We don't condone steroids, never take them. So basically how it works is it works on an energy field. So if I was to take your blood now and we put it under a dark field microscope, what it would show is that all your blood cells, that, as we spoke about before, are responsible for uptaking oxygen, are coin also known as rouleau. And what happens there is that you don't have a proper uptake of nutrients, waste products, that your blood's like stuck in these. It's a bit like a swamp. Inflammation is through the roof. And if you are into what we've talked about, hyperbaric oxygen, infrared, your cells aren't in a position to be able to upregulate that.
And is that state within the red blood cells, is that what everyone is dealing with, or is that people?
Most people,
who just kind of live certain lifestyles?
No, I think everyone.
Everyone, and what causes that? Or is
I think it's just our generally, as we've discussed. I don't know if it was on. I was like your daily stressors, internal, external, everything that we eat, we drink, we breathe. It's and what happens is it's the positive and negative ions in that cell have died.
And obviously that's an important process, is to make sure we're transferring oxygen. So then what does PEMF do?
So basically what happens it's like, the easiest way to say is you've got a mobile phone. Everyone uses induction chargers. It's down onto 20%, you stick it on and it starts to charge it. It's exactly what it does. There is no indications whatsoever. You don't feel it unless you're using the high max one that you do. The only people who shouldn't really use it are those with like... pacemakers or cochlear implants. That's it. And what happens is you lie there and you get put in a Torad-like effect, constant stream of energy, and it charges your cells up. And what it does is it puts the positive and negative ions back into them, and they go and they like literally fire away. So that proliferation's a lot further. You're then getting everything like the upregulated nutrients, because when you're in that state, you're in a constant state of inflammation.
Okay, so this is basically this is going to affect essentially everything in the body.
Yeah.
In terms of recoverability, in terms of energy transfer. And
well, the prime way, what I will say is, we have people coming in to my facility, and one of my team's mum has COPD, emphysema. So we always just do all your vitals. Mm-hmm. So we checked her SpO2 level, and it was like 78. Now, if that was anyone else, it'd be straight to the hospital. So I said, just put her on the PEMP from red light. We retested it, it was 94.
Really? Wow.
That's because, as we've said before, the red blood cells are responsible for your oxygen. When they're all stuck together, it doesn't happen. So we ended up doing a study with Celerate, I'll name him. I also took the Celerate controller up Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, I heard about it. Tell us about that.
Yeah. I just thought, obviously, as you're going up Kilimanjaro, as you get there, your oxygen levels within the body get less. Every time I used it before we got tested, say we were 4,200 meters, we were all 89, mine was 94.
Wow, fair play.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So, and that was the one I've got, right? The travel
so,
one. That was just a little travel.
Well, it's not the thing. So you've got the mat, which has 12 copper coils in it, but also ex-military, as I've said, that was your general service weapon. Yeah. The controller's got a copper coil in the back. That's your sniper rifle. So if you've got any problems, you can do a sandwich effect and put it anywhere.
Okay, and just with that, and it's again more of a question for myself. Would you place it in different parts of the body? Like you'd move it around to target different things?
If you don't think you've got anything, I just say just put it on your chest.
Yeah.
But for me, as I've said, just with my shoulder and having surgery, I would put it on my shoulder.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would feel the pain.
And where would you put this in? I want to kind of, I guess you may have a few more modalities that you've kind of used as well. I want to kind of create like a list, if you can do that, of like what would you say has been the biggest levers that you've pulled within your health over the past, half decade to a decade. Let's go right from the bottom.
Yeah.
With regards to nutrition, exercise, foundational.
Okay.
And then if you were to put all these different modalities and anything else you have, which we can dive into as well, in an order of importance or the most beneficial, what would you say?
Obviously, we've got the foundation right. Water, we've done that. Exercise. Exercise inhibits cancer growth by up to 60%.
Really?
Yeah, that massive. And those who lead a sedentary lifestyle, who are sat at a desk 8-9 hours a day, go home, don't exercise, increases their chance of endometrial cancer by up to 50%. Sedentary is now the lead cause in a modality in the world. It's overtaken smoking. That's how bad it is. So being active, and it doesn't have to be stuff that I do or you do, just get out and walk. Fresh air, exercise, sunlight. So exercise, definitely. And then when we're talking about, we won't go into supplements or anything, when we're talking about like the alternative or complementary hyperbaric oxygen chamber.
That comes after, you think? That's the top of the...
After we've done nutrition, diet, water, exercise,
all of the normal.
Mind, got your mind right and everything. When we're talking about alternative stuff, hyperbaric, 100%.
Okay. So that's more powerful than the PAMF? Red light. But for
different,
me, obviously.
I'd say that's if you can only do one thing,
you
for
pick
me,
that. Really? Okay.
If you got a couple, you would do PEMF first, PAMF first, because obviously you're getting your cells in a position to be able to absorb everything.
Uptake.
So
okay.
Probably then red light, infrared light.
So we're going hyperbaric.
Yeah.
We're going PEMF.
Yeah.
And then red
I'd go
light.
red light. Cold water therapy.
Okay, cool.
Along with infrared saunas.
Heat therapy. And infrared in particular as opposed to normal saunas?
Yeah.
Tell me why you would say infrared.
You only have to go up to 45 degrees. I don't. I'm still go as hot as you can because that's me. But what it does, it works on radiation. Complete safe radiation, but it actually heats you up from the inside. It works on your blood. So you're heating up from the inside out and it forces the toxins out your body.
Wow, okay.
But it's also amazing for inflammation, all that stuff in the body as well.
Okay, so that comes at number 5. You say
that
and cold kind of
I'd
together?
say, no, we'll put infrared first.
That first.
Because you always finish on cold.
But
also for me as well, with what I'm dealing with, for me, when you do heat therapy, it releases a chemical wash in the brain. And what that does, that targets and gets rid of amyloids. The amyloids are one of the components that are responsible, they stick to the receptors and are responsible for Alzheimer's and dementia.
Okay. Here's a question then for you. obviously you've got the nutrition done, the training and all this kind of stuff. How important has all of these additional modalities been in your own health journey post-cancer diagnosis?
There has to be a reason why I am one of like the 0.0002% of the world's population to still be in here with one of the 3 of the world's deadliest of cancers.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it will ever be, well, there might be a cure, but I think it's a culmination of approaches that's going to be able to do that.
There's going to be a lot of people listening to this who are, they're not necessarily dealing with diagnosis like yourself, but if it can have an impact on what you've gone through, then just imagine, this is the way I look at it, imagine what kind of impact it can have on just your quality of life and prevention of anything as well.
100%. And just imagine what your life's going to be like in 20 years' time.
If you get yourself into these kind of therapies, for sure.
Yeah. There's stuff out there that it shows someone sat there day in, day out, coming home after work, sat on the TV, or you show someone, the same person, coming home, they go out, they go for a run, and then it shows them in 20 years' time, he's still moving. They're struggling. They're struggling even to get up off the couch. You're investing now in your future self.
100%.
And you will feel monumentally better from it, not just on a physical, but mentally and emotionally as well.
Yeah. Because it's all synergistic.
It's all synergistic.
Yeah, 100%. I want to get an understanding of like a typical day for you. It sounds like your day is very much health oriented.
Is it now or what it usually is?
Tell me about. Obviously, I know you've gone through a business transition as well at the moment, so it's probably very different. But in terms of your health, what does a typical day look like for you?
Wake up and I'll drink a pint of water straight away.
Yeah.
I used to put lemon in it and stuff, but I don't. And then what I try to do is get about 5 or 10 minutes sunshine in my eyes, because you've got to wake up. One of the worst is we're dealing with the circadian rhythm now, how we should wake up and how we don't. There's a big thing. I listen to Matthew Walker. He's the world's leading scientist research when it comes to sleep, and the stuff I learned from him was amazing. But basically, we're in a modern day now. What happens? My wife does it. Wake up on the phone and you're looking at it. So what happens is you're in that window where you're going to get 5-10 minutes, it triggers your brain to go, right, we need to produce melatonin. And it goes on a 12 to 16 cycle. When you pick up your phone and look at it, it tells you that I can't remember what the exact joules are, that it's midday from the sun. That light emittent is hitting you, and it already tells you it's midday. So and it shuts that melatonin process down completely. Yeah. So I will go out, I will try and get some fresh air. Through the summer, I was doing a lot of movement, lymphatic movement. Yeah. Tapping yourself, getting the body, the system moving. Then I'll come in and then I'll eat my breakfast. Sometimes it'll be like protein. It all depends what it is. High protein, or I'll have carbohydrates. I'm someone who doesn't eat when we're told to eat. I will not eat breakfast at this time. No. I've got to have lunch. I eat when I'm hungry. Yeah. So there'll be times when I've not been that active. I won't eat until the night time. But if I am, then I'll probably I'll go into work, and I'm very active during work. I'm an ex-strength and conditioning coach, but I'm coaching people as well. I'm constantly drinking water. I try and get at least 2 to 3 litres in. What I will do in the mornings sometimes, what I'll do is I'll jump on my Pemph. No, in fact, I've missed that. I'll sit on my Pemph, and I've got a panel, desk-type red light, and whilst I'm eating my breakfast, that'll be on me.
Yeah, tell me about. I've seen data showing actually you digest and metabolize nutrients better under red light. How true is that?
I don't know.
Don't know. It's inconclusive.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing it for the physiological, cellular health, but also infrared light and red light improves your eyesight.
Improves your
eyesight.
Is it really?
100%.
You don't stare direct.
Yeah, I do.
You do stare.
They say you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
And when I had I had my first light panel I imported from Australia, Mitogen. They were the world's lead 4 years ago. It moves on so quick. So I could sit there, look and count the diodes. I obviously then met Andy Smith.
Yeah.
Went on his Pemph and he went to me, send me all your details of that. So I did. He went, yeah, because he reverse engineers it. Sent us that, and for 3 months I couldn't look into the light. It was that powerful. Now I can.
Yeah, your eyes adapt.
Yeah. But what I kind of do is if I'm on the bed, I literally put a meditation track on, and I will lucid dream within 2 minutes of being
really.
Yeah, it's amazing. Love it.
Yeah, that's it. That's good.
So I'll do that in the morning just to get that light on. I'll go out. If it's cloudy, you do need that natural sunlight. And even as I've said before, we don't live on a latitude to get enough vitamin D3 from it. So that's another way of getting it on me.
Yeah, but also I think like I know you'll appreciate this. The sun and light isn't just about vitamin D. People think, I could just take a supplement of vitamin D.
No,
it's so much more than that.
It's the creation of life.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
It's everything. Without the sun, nothing lives.
No. I think people
mental health, physical health, your skin, everything.
I'm listening to your routine. I'm thinking that's literally the exact process recommendations that I talk about within the program that we run. I'm thinking check. It's literally the same kind of morning routine.
Yeah, and then shower. Like, there's a big thing at the moment. I'm like, I don't know if you've seen it. All these, everything's animated now on TikTok and thing, and they've got Dr. Skeleton. Oh, so if you have a hot shower in the morning, you're stripping all your skin's nutrients and its cells, and you're going to burn and that. And the amount of comments like, it's not been proven. I'm not going to work without a shower. So I'll have a shower properly, and then I'll hit onto cold.
Yes, exactly.
And there are times when I'm like, I'm not going to do this today, but something in me goes, shut up.
And
I'll just stand under it, just for 2-3 minutes, and then that's me ready. I've fed, and then I'll go into work. Very exercise. I go to the gym probably most days after work. Now at the moment, obviously I did have a huge wellness centre that people travelled all over. I've shut that down. I'm in the hyperbaric every day now.
Just like an hour a day?
90 minutes.
90 minutes every day?
Yeah. It's the most you can do.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, and you just do that in one go?
Yeah, one go, yeah. But what I'll do is, I never used to, but I can go in there and I'll work.
Yeah.
I never used to. I used to just go to sleep, but I'll work in there now and get stuff done. And I love it because it's my time away from everything, all the external stresses, all the people who want to speak to me. My phone never stops.
Yeah.
So it's just for me. This is my place. I can get on top of stuff. Like I'm rebranding stuff. Just sit there. And just
it's brilliant. I think you feel. I don't know if it's to do with the oxygen uptake at the particular, but you feel it's like the sound as well. It's like you're almost really honed in, and I find that I'm really creative in there.
You'll either come out really energetic or you'll sleep really well. Really well.
Yeah, my HRV shot up by about 20 in the first week of using the hyper.
It's incredible, honestly. I keep saying it, but it's
and
then obviously sleep's massively important. So I try and get at least 9 hours a sleep. I used to stay up until 11 and a half 11, and then and they have these 5 a.m. clubs. Well, actually, if you do not get enough sleep, you're actually getting brain damaged.
Yeah.
And you can't really reverse it.
No.
But I take a lot of creatine.
So you aim for 9 hours?
Yeah, if I can.
Yeah.
8, 9. As long as I'm getting that, I'm all right. So I'll go, and it's winding yourself down as well properly. People go, I can't sleep properly. Tell me what your routine. Well, I've had a cup of coffee at 4 o'clock. I said, so what do you do when I'm coaching people? So what's your bedtime routine? So I get into bed, I've got the TV on, I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
I'm on my phone, and then I put it down, and I just can't sleep.
No.
Right. Let's go back to when you're looking at your phone, you're telling your brain that it's midday.
It's wait time, yeah. Honestly, I speak about this all the time with guys. Anyone we work with, I put sleep as the highest, the biggest lever.
Never used to.
No.
In the past 2 years, that's it now. Yeah.
I put sleep above nutrition, training, purely because of the snowball effect of what happens if you don't sleep. Obviously, there's the direct health effects, but then there's the decision making. There's the motivation to do the other things that it all impacts. So for me, like sleep has to be the priority that comes 100%. First.
And then obviously there's a lot of research. I take about 10 to 15 grams of creatine a day now. Yeah, because obviously it's the most studied micronutrient, whatever supplement on the world, and they're kind of saying that to off-regulate your sleep, if you have 10 grams of creatine, it helps that. In fact, it's more than that now. Yeah, but I'm not trying to take 10 grams in. No. But also when you're training, people take it before you train. You should take it afterwards.
Why is that? Why?
Scientific research. There was a study done by, I think it was MIT, and they had a control group. Those took it before, and those took it after. Those took it before got like 0.4% mass gains over a certain period. The others got 2.8.
Really? So massive. That's a big difference as well, right? Wow. I kind of do both. I do.
Yeah. No, I do.
Pre and post.
I just smash it all day.
I do. I have it in my supplement box, and then I'll just smash it pre and post workout as well. So I try and get about anything between 10 and 20 grams a day, because they say that the neurological benefits really come from the higher doses.
That's it. But not just that, it's also for women's health, menopause. Also, it's
people think it's
it's for muscles. It's just for muscles because it would say no. On a biological cellular health, it's incredible.
Yeah, 100%. Look, like obviously, the cancer diagnosis. That wasn't the first near-death experience you've had, right? No. There was another one.
I like to put my family through it, basically.
Yeah. But keeping them on the toes. There was another one or another two?
Yeah, certainly another one which was major.
Another one. Tell us about that.
So I'm 22. Just found out we were pregnant with our first, Josh. I'd just moved into a flat. And work's going really well for me. I was also just been selected to represent Great Britain at the World Championships for kickbox. I did everything, Muay Thai, but I was really good at kickboxing in Germany. It's a Wednesday, I think it's September the 8th, and I've got a motorbike, a JIC 6, Suzuki Car 600, and my partner in the police, it was off, and he messaged me on the brick phones and says, do you want to go out for a ride? I said, yeah. So we go out for a ride into Wales, and there's a horseshoe pass, which is notoriously famous. Russ disappears around that corner. So I come right the way down on the power, just slow right the way down. If people ride bikes understand, you lean into the corner and you come on the power to ride the corner, to hug it. As I've come on the power, there's diesel and gravel on the road, and my back wheel kicks out to go to the low side, like that. One thing you should never do is brake, but my autonomous reaction, without me thinking, I jabbed that brake, and it sat me upright, and it followed the course. So I went across onto the other side of the road. 20 to 30 feet away was a 23-ton articulated lorry.
Oh,
Exactly. That's exactly what I said. When they say time stands still, trust me, it does. Yeah. And I mean, it does. I had a conversation myself to what to do next. It felt like I was having it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The upshot from that conversation was jump. So I shifted all my weight onto my left-hand side peg, and I threw myself off the bike, landed on my back. And I always say, fortunately, I'm a very positive person. And fortunately, I went under the back wheel of the cab and the front two wheels of the Arctic.
It went over you?
Yeah, it went over, yeah.
Wow.
And I say fortunate because if I had been a split second later jumping, it would have been my stomach and not my lower body, and I'd be dead.
Oh, so it was your legs?
Yeah, my legs completely crushed.
Wow.
So as I went under the wheel, no pain whatsoever, whether I was in shock, the body's amazing, as we've discussed, all these other stuff. And I watched my left leg come up vertical over my head and fall down to the side. I had no pain. I knew it was bad. And something in me just triggered a don't panic. I did not know how bad it was. I was bleeding. I thought, don't panic.
Because you couldn't feel a thing.
Yeah, don't panic, because if you're going to panic, you're going to raise your blood, you're going to bleed out. And I started just waving, because no one should survive this. And the woman behind me came. Now, I didn't know it at the time. It was only a lot later. She was an off-duty paramedic.
Really? Wow, that's fortunate.
Saved my life.
You're a lucky guy.
Yeah.
Well.
But yeah, so I was likely to prove at the scene. I wasn't supposed to survive. I was going to die. The ambulance turned up. You could see the shock on the face. Roads were closed, and I had to get airlifted to Glenclwyd Hospital, because I would have died without a shadow of doubt in Comanche ambulance. I got put into the back of the ambulance, and then was placed in an induced coma. I was transferred to Glenclwyd Hospital, where I think I had a 14-hour life-saving operation, where apparently I was 30 seconds away from dying.
Wow.
Because I had gone through
blood loss, my
femoral artery.
Really?
I've only spoke about this lately, because obviously with what I'm doing with the book, I don't know a lot of the stuff, what happened. I said, well, what were the conversations? They came out and said, just to let you know, he's probably going to lose his leg. And they were like, devastated. Now, and I will say this, if I'd have come round at 22, 23 with no leg, I'd have wanted to die.
Yeah.
Being how thing. And one of the only reasons why they didn't was because the veins that were attached, the blood supply was that good. Because I've been training.
Yeah, wow. So your health saved you.
Yeah. So yeah, it was put on. I had 6 external pins. I completely degloved my leg. So I had no skin whatsoever. I've only got a quarter of a calf. All the ligaments, it was basically just destroyed. I also completely shattered my right. My kneecap got broken into 6 places. Apparently it's really hard to break your kneecap, so I did it in 6, because I'm not average, as I've said before.
You don't do things well.
So basically I had 6 external pins holding my leg together, because it would just fall off. And then I had X wiring. I had a cast up to here, and they tried to bring me round on day 6 or 7. Apparently I was in too much pain. I don't remember that. And then on day 7, or whichever it was, they brought me round. And it's not like in the movies where you suddenly go, oh God, are you all right? All I remember is being pinned down to a bed.
Yeah.
Because basically I've been on a life support machine. I'm intubated. you've got something in your mouth, you come around, you don't worry, you rip it out, you die. And then it took forever. They took it out and they were like, breathe. And I just didn't know how to.
Oh, wow.
Because it does it, you've been automatic. And eventually I took this big...
How long were you in the coma for?
7 days.
7 days.
7 or 8 days, if I get it right. I took this big breath of air, and I don't really mention much else because it was that heavily sedated and that heavily medicated.
Wow. So it's fair to say you've been through literal wars, but you've been through various...
And the fact that I came, I got morphine psychosis, which was horrific for 3 weeks. So I won't go into it because it'll be all day, where I didn't even know where I was and all this. And then I was told, you're never going to walk properly ever again. I was, again, I started goals. Okay, what's going to do? I've got to try and move my leg. But that took that long. I couldn't. Because that connection had been snapped. And I was literally just trying to move it and nothing worked. And then one night, one evening, I managed to lift it and I cheered. The nurse came, I got a bit of bollocking for waking up the ward, but they didn't understand how much that meant to me.
Yeah.
So after about, 3 months of being sat, the mental toll it took, it was horrific. I was sat in the same bed, lying down, never got sat up, looking at a wall. Horrendous mental, trying to keep myself on that. And one of the nurses, I was the youngest one on the ward, everyone was old, all the nurses sat around you and I'm chatting to them, most degrading time of my life. Because then I needed the loo, I had to be rolled over, I'd be screaming because I'd had skin grafting. So they take the top layer of your skin off and no feeling in that part. But where they take that off, the nerve, it was like when you get rolled, like someone poured hydrochloric acid, scorpions and fire ants all at the same time. I'd be screaming, then they'd roll you back. But one of the nurses took pity on me and she wheeled me, she wasn't supposed to, and hooked my bed and opened up a fire exit when it was sunny and just left me there for half an hour. I just sat there crying. Just that fresh air. It gave me a bit of a lift and a bit of that fight type thing. And then once I'd done that, the physios came and then they sat me up. And I just remember feeling really embarrassed. I passed out. My blood pressure was that poor. I think I'd had...
Just from sitting up?
I had 36 blood transfusions.
Yeah, wow.
At one point, I didn't have my own blood in my body. In surgery, it was like 30 seconds from dying. Eventually I did, and then eventually, the cast was off, still had the pins. I was walking with a stroller and crutches, managed to do the stairs, and I got sent to our part where I thought the pins would be taken out. I'd have my leg put, I'd end up getting my ligaments and tendons trapped. I'm going to go back and smash it. Yeah, it couldn't be. I had me. That's a story in itself. We won't go into that. I had them taken out of my bed with no. Yeah, it's a whole different story. But I'll be here all day. They got taken out, and unfortunately, because my leg had been left straight for so long, it had to be. Scar tissue had grown into the joint. The scar tissue stretch, it's like leather. I had 2 manipulations whilst under anaesthetic, where they basically take you down to surgery, put nerve blockers in, and they don't do anything special. They just get your leg and they crank it to break through it. On the second one, I came round and I just started crying because I knew it hadn't worked. And he went, Dr. Starman said, we couldn't put 1 more ounce of pressure on it because if we did, we'd have snapped your femur in a couple of places. And I was just like devastated. Went to work with so I only literally had 10-degree flexion. That was it.
Really?
Like that's all I could move. Yeah. Went to work with the physios after 4 months, literally 20, and I got given up on. I paid to go and see a top orthopedic surgeon in Wigan. Went to see him, and he took pity on me. He said, I completely understand, but you're never going to get movement in that ever again. I was like, what? He goes, if you want to... I had a child on the way, whether it was a girl or boy. I wanted to be active. Didn't want to be that dad at the playground in a wheelchair, or you know what kids are like. And he said, to get that level back, we can amputate your leg below the knee to give you the best chance of prosthetics so you can play sport. And I've never understood this. Or we can put a steel rod in it to fix it straight. Like I've never understood that. Me being me came away and went, no, I'm not doing it. Obviously had a bit of a low moment. Just thought, no, I'm doing this on myself. So what we did we were in a flat at the time, like a top floor flat. So getting out was horrendous as well. So I'd made this like sling that I could attach around my foot. And what we'd do is I'd lie down. I'd have a chair underneath me and my leg would just be up in the air like that.
Yeah.
And Sam had put a weight on and it was just in it. The pain's horrific. Like I'd sit there for 2 to 3 hours watching TV, tears streaming down. And when you take it off, I'd stand up and I couldn't because it was locked straight.
Yeah.
The pain was horrendous. After the first couple of days, I saw a tiny bit of difference and I went, That's it. And I just went full.
I went full on it
to the point where I got to, after about 12 months, I got to like 95%. So I can run, walk, I can do everything I could do. The only time you'll know if there's something wrong with my leg is if I've got shorts on due to the scarring, or if I'm sprinting fully. I don't have that full mechanics of sprinting. I started playing five-a-side with the lads because they're not going to go hard on me, and found actually it's quite strong. Then started playing rugby again, but I just love combat sport. It's what I've always done. I've done it all: Muay Thai, K1. You know, I even did a bit of. I wasn't at that point. I didn't see the point in doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but then I did. I did it all, but what I was really good at was kickboxing. So I went back to my gym. So I just want to be involved. So Lee goes, "Do you know what? Go and teach the kids if you want." Now, I love youth development. I when I was working in the RFU as well, that's one of the things we did, youth development. But anyway, that's fast forwarding, chop and change. So I did, and then one of the lads had a fight coming up, and I've always been all right with my hands. So I jumped in with him, and found by changing the way I thought I was actually still quite good. But obviously he was training for a fight, I wasn't, and after 3 rounds I gassed out, and he took great pleasure in just teeing off on me. So, and then obviously it came to says, I think you should start fighting again. But then you've got that kind of internal battle. It's that fear, and for me it was the fear of, you know, in a ring I've only ever lost once. It's that fear of losing. It's fear of something going wrong with my leg. The fear of being embarrassed, of being humbled. That fear of it being. But if you don't face your fears, that's the biggest risk you can ever take. You are never going to achieve anything, as we've already discussed, by sitting there in your comfort zone.
No.
So I thought, do you know what? Let's do it. And I won a load of local fights. I then went up to Leeds and won the ISKA Northern title. I then won the Welsh Open Series title. Because obviously I had Welsh blood in me through the bike accident. I had to do something there. And then I won the British title. And then I got a letter and a notification through the phone saying, we want you to come in for trials for Great Britain.
Look, there's so much that people could take from your story and everything you've spoken about today in terms of like, look, I've taken, you know, perspective, inspiration, you know, this kind of relentless mindset that you've clearly shown. There's so many different things that people could take for this, but for people listening, what would you like them to take away from your kind of experience and your story today?
That nothing's impossible. Whatever your mind believes you can achieve, but it doesn't come easy. You've got to hard work, dedicate, sacrifice, and that sacrifice can be your body, it can be your relationships. If you want to achieve something, you can do anything you can, but it takes hard work. I do a lot of talks and sometimes in school, and one of the things that happened to me is when I came out of my surgery, I couldn't even speak properly. I couldn't hold a conversation. I had cognitive tests, and I've got the report at home, and it said that I was the lowest percentile for memory recall, memory retention, and it actually said that David Bolton will never have the mental capacity or ability to A, be employed, or B, be self-employed again.
This was after
my second surgery.
Really?
Yeah.
You've defied a lot of what the
so
medical
what I'm
system
saying
said.
is, it doesn't matter what the situation you find yourself in, what the conditions are, you have the ability to change that. But it doesn't come easy. It doesn't come sitting on your couch. It doesn't come sitting watching TV. You've got to put work in. And a lot of times people don't like to put hard work in. No. But you're never going to achieve anything in life if you don't work for it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, I know you do, you know, keynote speaking.
Yeah.
I know you've got a book coming out, which I'd like you to share a little bit about if you wouldn't mind. And I think alongside that, I like to ask this question to people. I want to know what your mission is, because I know you've got a change of direction with everything you're doing right now. So let's package all that into one. What is your mission in your life now? And tell us about this book. Tell us about what you do, your talks. Yeah.
I think my mission is to still be here in 20, 30, 40 years' time. That's my mission, and that's the approach I've taken. We've talked about everything that I'm doing regarding that. You know, it's to be here for my family. It's more important. Family means everything. And also, my mission is to help as many people as I can in similar situations. When they feel lost, when they feel that no one's listening to them. You know, I want to be there for them. I've chose to put myself back in a world of cancer, which is hard because the amount of people that we lose, you know, to help others. I will give my shirt off my own back to give someone else. So my mission is like to be here, longevity, to impart wisdom, knowledge to people, to make them to best themselves mentally, physically, and emotionally. My book has been 7 years in the making. It's been a long process, but finally we've got a major book publisher. It's called Defiance, and it's basically bits what we spoke about, but a lot more in depth. And there's certainly more stories about my life story that we haven't touched on. And it's basically a journey of my life, but it's also shows key things of how I've overcome certain problems, the mindset I've used, tips, tricks, quotes that I've used. And it will be out in August this year.
Class.
And it's the first time I've announced it because I've not been allowed.
Oh, really?
Until then, yeah. I had to check yesterday. Yeah, yesterday I was allowed to mention it. I am.
Oh, wow. So this is literally the first time.
Yeah, the first time I mentioned it. So it's called
Amazing.
Defiance, yeah.
I'll be getting that for sure.
Yeah.
I'll be getting that for sure. Beautiful. Well, look, thank you so much for coming today and sharing your story. It's been incredible. I know, there's so much people can take away from this. So yeah, thank you so much for taking the trouble and being here today.
Yeah, thanks for everyone, and thanks yourself, Dom. I really appreciate it.